Welcome back, everyone. Today we explore an idea that may challenge how we think about gravity, energy, and the building blocks of the universe. Imagine that gravity itself is not just a force pulling objects together, but a continuous source of energy that can be redirected, just as light can be bent through a prism. This concept suggests that gravity could be tapped directly without motion, opening the door to new ways of producing electricity and perhaps even unlocking a unified theory of everything. Before diving into the concept, let us set the stage with some basic physics. In current science, energy comes in many forms. We speak of kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion, and potential energy, which is stored energy due to position or condition. If you lift a weight, you increase its gravitational potential energy, and when you release it, that energy is converted into kinetic energy as it falls. This is how we explain why a rock dropped from a height hits the ground with measurable force. Gravity in conventional physics is described not as a form of energy in itself, but as the curvature of space and time caused by mass and energy. In this model, gravity does not create energy, it only directs how energy and matter move. Yet gravity can be used to generate energy. Hydroelectric dams convert the gravitational pull on water into electricity. Tidal power uses the gravitational interaction between Earth and the Moon. These examples still depend on motion to produce the final electrical output. The idea we are exploring today starts with a different view. What if gravity is not only a shaping influence but a continuous flow of energy itself? In this picture, the pressure an object exerts on what it rests upon is not just a static condition, but an expression of ongoing energy transfer from gravity to matter. That pressure does not switch off. It is there at every moment. If there is continuous pressure, then there is continuous energy. Now, here is where this concept diverges sharply from conventional thinking. Usually, to extract energy from gravity, something must move. A wheel must turn, a mass must drop, a turbine must spin. But what if there is another way? Imagine if the gravitational pull on an object could be partially or entirely deflected, without the object changing location. This deflection would cause a reduction in weight. The lost weight would not vanish, it would be converted into another form of energy, such as electricity. We already know from experience that weight can change without altering the mass of an object. In an elevator, you feel heavier when accelerating upward and lighter when moving downward. This is due to changes in the net force acting on your body. That variation in force is measurable, predictable, and tied directly to acceleration. But the scenario here asks us to imagine achieving a similar change in measured weight without moving at all, by using a mechanism that redirects a portion of gravity away from the object. Think of a prism. When light passes through it, the prism bends and separates the light into its component colors. This is not destroying the light, but changing its path and revealing its internal composition. Now imagine a gravitational prism. Instead of bending light, it bends or redirects gravitational energy. The object under the influence of such a prism would weigh less, because some of the gravitational energy that would normally act on it is now flowing elsewhere. If such a device were possible, it could, in theory, produce electricity directly from the continuous flow of gravitational energy. The amount of energy produced would correspond to the reduction in weight of the object, multiplied by the gravitational acceleration and converted through the efficiency of the device. In principle, even a small reduction in weight could generate a steady flow of electricity without the object moving at all. This raises profound questions about the relationship between gravity and other forms of energy. In the conventional view, all forms of energy are interchangeable under the right conditions. If gravity is indeed a form of energy, then it should be possible to convert it into electricity, just as we convert heat into electricity or motion into electricity. The challenge is that we do not currently have a known process for diverting gravity in a stationary system. Here is where the gravitational prism idea becomes even more interesting. If gravity can bend light, as we know it does near massive objects like stars and black holes, perhaps light can also influence gravity. This suggests that gravitational and electromagnetic phenomena might be more deeply connected than we think. If so, the right arrangement of light, resonance, and matter might create the conditions needed to deflect a portion of gravity in a controlled way. Now, let us place this in the broader search for a theory of everything. Modern physics has separate frameworks for gravity, which is described by general relativity, and for the other forces, which are described by quantum mechanics. These frameworks work beautifully in their own domains, but, well, they resist unification. The gravitational prism concept could hint at a bridge. If resonance, gravity, light, and matter are all different expressions of a single underlying energy, then manipulating one could influence the others. Consider resonance. In physics, resonance occurs when a system naturally vibrates at certain frequencies. We see it in musical instruments, in bridges swaying with wind, and in sand forming intricate patterns on a vibrating plate. Now just imagine the universe itself infused with a continuous resonance from its origin, a resonance that sustains all matter and energy. If that resonance interacts with gravity in a way similar to how it interacts with light, it could act as the gravitational prism we are describing. Here is a speculative sequence that ties these ideas together. First, there exists a primordial, undifferentiated energy. Then, a universal resonance is introduced. That resonance refracts the energy into distinct forms, one of which is gravity. Gravity then interacts with matter, giving mass its weight. Light enters as the revelator, revealing the structure and relationships between these forms. Matter could be seen as the product of resonance-shaping energy, and gravity as the continuous energy field linking all matter. If this sequence holds any truth, then the periodic table of elements itself might be the gravitational rainbow produced by the universal prism effect. Just as a rainbow displays the colors hidden in white light, the elements might display the structured variety hidden in the primordial energy once resonance acts upon it. This would place gravity, light, and matter as different outcomes of the same initial resonance, all interrelated and potentially convertible. The implications for technology are staggering. If a gravitational prism could be engineered, we could produce electricity from stationary objects by redirecting part of the gravitational flow. This could mean constant fuel-free power wherever mass exists. It could also mean creating weightlessness at will, with applications from transport to construction to space travel. In the most extreme case, if we could fully divert gravity from an object, it could float without propulsion. Of course, there are enormous challenges. We do not yet know of any material or configuration that can deflect gravity without massive objects or motion. The interaction between gravity and light is well observed in astrophysics, but using light to influence gravity in a laboratory is far beyond our current engineering, honestly. The same goes for directly detecting and shaping universal resonance if it exists. Yet every great technological leap starts with an idea that seems impossible. Flight was once impossible. Wireless communication was once impossible. Even electricity itself was once a mystery. The gravitational prism concept is not offered as proven fact, but as an invitation to explore, test, and refine. If nothing else, it forces us to reconsider the nature of gravity and whether it is truly just a shaping force or a continuous energy source waiting to be tapped. Testing such a concept would require measuring weight changes in an object under controlled conditions without motion and without known forces acting on it. If any reduction in weight could be achieved through resonance, light, or other energy interactions, that would be the first hint of a working gravitational deflector. Even partial success would open entirely new avenues for both science and technology. In the end, whether or not the gravitational prism becomes reality, exploring it reminds us of the value of questioning established boundaries. Science advances not only by confirming what is known, but by daring to ask what else might be possible. Gravity surrounds us every moment of our lives, pressing down on every object, every surface, every person. If that constant presence is indeed a form of flowing energy, then it may be the most overlooked power source in the universe. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.